Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the world's first 120Hz OLED panel. Now I'm talking about IPS. Obviously the Razer Phone 2 took that crown a long time ago. But as far as OLED, we've always had the limitation of 90Hz. We've seen many devices go up to 90Hz, and most of our devices on the market now are all running at 60Hz. Well, the ROG Phone 2 is specifically bringing in the first 120Hz OLED panel, and what it means by that essentially is the ability of getting deep colors, but also getting that crazy refresh rate on a gaming phone that is basically the second iteration of what we saw last year, but with so much more. This is TK, and this is the ROG Phone 2 Tecent Edition. Like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. This is the second iteration of the ROG phone, so this is the ROG Phone 2. We still have the front-firing speakers here that are present. They're very nice and very loud. We now have a 120Hz OLED panel. You can kind of see it right there. There's a little moniker sitting right there that says 120Hz. We're able to go into the settings tab. We'll go under display, and then under the display you're able to go down specifically under the actual refresh rate and set it to be what you wanted. Out of the box it does come out as 60Hz. You can set it to lock in at this 90 or 120 with supported applications. And what I mean by that is, depending on the application that you're using, if you're playing a game and it does not support, let's say 120 frames per second, the system will go down and basically adjust the frame rate to whatever the application needs. The launcher that we have here is not going to be the standard launcher that you see when it comes to the US. This is intended specifically for Tencent games. It does switch over to English once you actually turn it on when you're setting it up, so everything will turn into English and you can actually go through all the options. Well, everything will basically be in English. The one thing you want to keep in mind though is that there are some applications installed here that will not translate. So an example right here is a WeChat, QQ, Tencent Drive. This is directly from them, Weibo, as well as basically, I'm not sure if this is a search engine, but these are basically applications installed from them and specifically made for the Chinese market. I am able, and I did actually sideload the Google Play Store, and then of course once I did that, everything else pretty much worked the regular way. The gallery app and the camera application are all the standard ones. We do have gestures that I have turned on as well. We have the phone dialer, the messaging app. I installed Chrome as I want to be able to use that over the standard Chinese browser. And of course the gallery app, everything else will look the exact same way as you normally would use it. Gaming on this is absolutely fantastic, and I've been basically playing different games. Now the reason why I'm launching Gameloft here first, this one is a game that was running at 120Hz on my Razer Phone 2, but for some reason I guess it's not optimized to run at that refresh rate here. So if you notice right there at the top we have a little bit of an indicator, and this indicator kind of gives us the ability of seeing not only the CPU percentage, basically the GPU, the percentage on the battery, as well as basically the temperature of the system, but the frame rate. So right now we're running at 30 frames per second. Swiping from the left, we have access to the game launcher, which is very nice. The ability of setting the brightness level, again, same statistics. You can turn on X mode on here. It's off right now. We have the screen recorder, the lock touch, the macros if you have them basically installed. Right there, it logs you in. Air triggers are here and you can customize them. So let's go ahead and swipe from the left, and I'll go ahead and turn on the air triggers. And you can basically customize the placement of these two buttons, and these are basically the right and left, and you can see them right there. And then wherever you put them, they basically get installed. So here it says I have an update. I'll go ahead and say cancel, and I'll just close this. You notice right there, and it did register it, and it works really nicely. You can customize it on an app or per game, and then you can go in there and basically enhance your gaming experience. On the other side, if you do launch an application that is supported, meaning it does launch the 120 frames per second, let's say we'll go into Dubdash. Now, unfortunately, because of the copyright music that they're playing there, I cannot play the sound for you guys, but we'll go ahead and play. First, you'll notice right there that the ticker right there shows up all the way to 114, 116, so we'll go ahead and initiate the game. And we'll go ahead and swipe, and I'll play. And I do apologize in advance. I am not great at this, but it is very addicting. So we'll go ahead and play once. And I died right out of the box. We'll play it one more time. Play it one time. and died one more time. Definitely very addicting, especially when you play it with the music. Unfortunately, I cannot play that song for you guys right now. But again, the game looks really, really nice. The other thing that we have here definitely that is very unique is that 6,000 milliamp battery that's supported with the 18-watt fast charger that's built in. The only thing I would probably say is that the USB-C port is offset to the right, as well as we have the little docking option that we have here. What you're getting here essentially is an additional USB-C port and a data connection. So the little orange one that you have on the bottom here, where if you're looking at right there on the right side, is not a charging port, so we never use that. But again, we have a USB-C port sitting on the left, one at the bottom, and of course the ability of using all those accessories that the original one actually had quite a few of them. We have the fingerprint sensor that's built in the display, and it's actually not bad. It's not one of the faster ones on the market, but it's definitely pretty good. Front-facing speakers are absolutely fantastic. On the left here, we have our side launcher, the ability of jumping directly into the gaming mode or the Armory crate here. You're also able to turn on X mode, and that enables us to do the CPU, GPU overclocking, temperature setting, as well as memory management. The Game Genie that's built in here, the Storm Network acceleration for great Wi-Fi connection, as well as the ability of doing auto updates if you have it. I did receive one update while I was in Shenzhen, and I haven't seen one since, so hopefully we'll see some more. The fan here, the attachment does not come included in the box. So in the box, all we got was the power cable, the actual USB-C cable, as well as just the standard charger that comes with it. Again, there's a faster one that you're able to pick up in China. As far as the actual ability of customizing the RGB, it is customizable the way we had it last year. Also, side note, the little vent option that we have here is actually being used for cooling, which is something that's a little bit better than what we had last year. The dual camera setup that we have in there, we'll get into that in a second. But overall, the experience here is definitely very nice, very customizable. The gestures are working very nicely. And then once you have X mode on, the wallpaper on the home screen changes. And then of course, when you disable it, it does actually end up going back into more of a cooled mode. So definitely very nice on the optics there. Now, as far as the model that I have here, again, as I mentioned to you guys, this is the Tecent Gaming Edition model, which means for the most part is that we have 128 gigs of internal storage with 8 gigs of RAM. This is not supporting the 512 gigs of internal storage with the 12 gigabytes of RAM. So just keep that in mind. There's a slight difference in the actual specifications that we get here. Now, this is still running the Snapdragon 855 Plus, the latest, fastest version of the Snapdragon processor that we have. And again, as I mentioned to you guys, we have that 6,000 milliamp battery. The front-facing camera that we have here is actually a decent camera, and it's a 24 megapixel camera that's built in here. That's definitely something very, very unique that we don't really see a lot, a very high megapixel front-facing camera, but it actually does perform quite well. What I also want to share with you guys real quick is the cameras that we have here on the back. And on the back, we have the dual sensor setup this time using the 48 megapixel Sony IMX586, as well as the 13 megapixel sensor that gives us basically more of a full view display. So we have basically the ability of having dual sensors, great for bokeh. Of course, we have the dual tone LED flash. And of course, jumping into the actual camera application, you'll notice that we have all the different modes: video tracking, motion tracking, slow motion, time-lapse, portrait, pano, night mode, as well as pro mode. And of course, that gives us all the ability of jumping between video and portrait. Now, as far as the actual settings and the maximum resolution, so the camera on the front here is just taken just for stills. If we jump into video, we'll go ahead and jump in here. I'll take that back. So basically we have the ability of going full HD, 60 frames, full HD, or just HD. So we don't have 4K. And if I switch over to the back, I am able to actually go between 4K 60 frames per second, 4K, full HD, 4K, full HD at 60 frames, full HD, as well as HD. Portrait shots look really nice, and it actually does use the dual sensors very, very nicely. You can definitely see there is a little bit of edge blending here between the two, but overall, as far as an image, it did a really good job. And of course, the ability of basically just focusing directly on the subject. And this was when I was coming back straight from Shenzhen at the airport waiting for my flight. Selfies and colors are really good, as well as the bokeh effect. It looks really nice. And it isolated me pretty good from the subject, although part of him was still in focus, as I think it probably assumed he was at the same focal length as I was. But other than that, I think it does pretty good overall with the performance that it does and what it offers us as far as a gaming phone. Now, again, this is my initial impressions. Battery life is absolutely beast. It lasts forever. The 6.6-inch display here, full HD plus, as well as the fact that we have the 120 frames per second refresh rate on this device is just absolutely fantastic. The fingerprint sensor, and it also does have face unlock. I'll go ahead and just do this. Just the fact that we can scroll so fast. And I'm going to just do real quick a couple of zooms here, and I'm going to do a quick slow-mo for you guys just to show you guys how smooth the resolution is. You can definitely appreciate the 120 frames per second refresh rate, as the resolution looks absolutely fantastic, and it is very, very noticeable in person. Unfortunately, I don't have a 120 frames per second refresh rate camera to be able to share with you guys the exact, basically the experience that I get here, but it looks absolutely very nice. So the fact is, the ROG Phone 2 is a step evolution from what we had last year. We have the fastest display on the market. It is not a QHD display, but again, keep in mind, at 120 frames per second, full HD, it is the first to achieve that and give us really good colors. 6,000 milliamp battery, the 855 Plus as far as the CPU. We have 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage. Keep in mind, the European and the US model, when it becomes available, will probably end up having 512 gigs of storage as well as an option, as well as 12 gigs of RAM. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Front-facing speakers will always be my favorite implementation of stereo audio on any device, as whenever you're playing games, this is going to be the best experience, especially when you're using the air triggers. Your hands are going to be cupping the actual phone, and you want to be able to basically keep them straight and get the best audio experience. Now, if you do want a 3.5mm headphone jack, this phone has it. It's amazing that we still have it as a feature, but it definitely does have it. One thing does drive me a little bit crazy, and that's the offset micro USB cable that's sitting to the left. Every time I try to put the cable, I always want to go for the center of the phone, and it always ends up being offset. So you just have to keep that in mind. They do include a case, a clear case a little bit here, and that's something that actually is not bad. It's a customized case made specifically for our phone, and just something you want to keep in mind. Now, again, this is the Tecent Edition model, which means this is the Chinese edition. You do need to basically sideload the Google Play Store, and there are going to be a little bit of things that you can't get rid of, like to say Weibo, WeChat, that are built in, even to the gaming launcher or the game launcher configuration that we have on the left side. As far as the actual features and how this phone works in the US, I've had LTE, I've had good connections, I have no problems running it on AT&T. So the overall experience using this device has basically been a dream. It's definitely a very nice upgrade from what we had last year with the ROG One. I just wish we had some accessories to be able to play with at this point. Out of the box, we only had the charger and that was it. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the ROG Phone 2? Are you looking forward to it? Did you actually have another gaming phone that you like to play with? I personally loved the fact that this was under 500 bucks for me for getting it from Shenzhen, and that was just basically one of the main things that made me decide to pick it up ahead of waiting for the US and the European model. It's such a low price with such a high spec count that comes with it. There's no question, and at some point or another I may decide to try to flash the European ROM once that becomes more tested on this device. As I currently am hearing, it doesn't work 100%, and some things do break specifically, but mostly the camera and certain versions. Some people were reporting that it doesn't actually install 100% exactly like stock, and we do lose OTAs, as I currently have that with the Chinese edition. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.